The grocery store was unusually quiet that evening, but for Ethan, a single father juggling work, bills, and the endless duties of raising his young daughter alone, the silence was a relief. He had rushed there after a long day at the office, still in his work shirt, sleeves rolled up, exhaustion heavy in his steps. His cart held only the essentials: bread, milk, fruit, and a box of cereal his daughter Sophie had begged for earlier. He stood in line, absent-mindedly scrolling through his phone, until his eyes drifted up and caught sight of the cashier. She was young, probably in her late 20s, with tired eyes framed by dark circles, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. But what drew his attention wasn't her face, it was her trembling hands. Each time she reached for an item to scan, the small shake grew more noticeable. At first, he thought she was just nervous or cold, but as she tried to steady herself, his concern deepened. Something wasn't right. Right finger if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small acts of compassion. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Hidden Hearts. Your support helps us bring more life-changing stories to light. Ethan tried not to stare, but his heart tugged. He was no stranger to struggle. Life as a single dad had taught him to notice what others often ignored: the quiet signs of exhaustion, the silent battles fought behind tired smiles. He placed his groceries on the belt and softly asked, "Are you okay?" The cashier froze for a moment, her lips pressed into a tight line. She shook her head quickly as if brushing it off, but her hands betrayed her, shaking even harder as she scanned the last item. When Ethan gently asked again, "Why are your hands shaking?" her response made his chest tighten. She whispered, almost too quietly to hear, "Because I haven't eaten in 2 days." The words hit him like a punch to the gut. In that instant, the world seemed to still. Ethan had seen hardship in his own life, but hearing those words from a stranger standing right in front of him was different. The cashier, whose name tag read Grace, looked down in shame, embarrassed that her secret had slipped out. She quickly tried to cover it up, mumbling something about being fine. But Ethan could see through it. He saw the hollow look in her eyes, the way her uniform hung loosely on her frame, and the fragile state she tried to hide behind a forced smile. The line behind him grew restless, people shifting impatiently, but Ethan didn't care. In that moment, the noise, the stares, the judgment, it all faded away. His focus was on Grace. He asked her gently if she had anyone at home. Her answer came with a crack in her voice. She had a little boy, only 6 years old. She'd been skipping meals to make sure he ate. Her paycheck barely covered rent, and after bills, there was nothing left. That night, she hadn't even planned on buying dinner for herself, only enough food to take home to her son. Ethan's heart ached. He remembered the nights he, too, had gone without so Sophie could eat. He remembered the loneliness of silently struggling, of not wanting to ask for help, of swallowing pride while the world moved on without noticing. Grace's story mirrored his own in a way that left him shaken. Without hesitation, Ethan quietly told the bagger to pack double of everything he had bought, then added more items: pasta, vegetables, canned goods, bread, even a cake he hadn't planned on. Grace tried to protest, her voice trembling as she said she couldn't accept it, but Ethan stopped her gently. "I know what it's like," he said softly. "Please, let me help." The bagger and a few customers who overheard were stunned into silence. Grace's eyes filled with tears, her hands covering her face as she broke down, the weight of months of silent suffering finally spilling out. Ethan didn't pity her, he respected her strength. It took courage to fight so hard for her child, even if it meant her own hunger. That night, as Ethan carried groceries out to Grace's car, he realized something profound. Life had brought them both to this moment, not by accident, but by design. He wasn't just giving food, he was giving her hope, reminding her that she wasn't invisible, that kindness still existed. Grace hugged him before leaving, whispering through tears that he had saved not just her night, but her faith in people. Ethan drove home afterward, holding Sophie's little hand tighter than ever, silently vowing to teach her that true strength wasn't about wealth or power, it was about compassion. The next week, Ethan returned to the store and found Grace again. This time, she smiled more warmly, her son standing shyly by her side. She introduced the boy, Daniel, and Sophie instantly pulled him toward the candy aisle with childlike joy. Watching the two children laugh together, Ethan and Grace exchanged a look that said more than words could. It was the look of two souls who had weathered storms alone, finally realizing they weren't alone anymore. From that day on, their paths intertwined. They supported each other, shared their struggles, and slowly built something stronger than either had imagined. What began as one simple question, "Why are your hands shaking?" turned into a moment that changed their lives forever. Ethan had once thought he was the only one fighting silently, but Grace showed him that sometimes, broken pieces can come together to create something whole. Right finger if this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Hidden Hearts. Your engagement helps us continue spreading stories of compassion, love, and second chances. Speech balloon special request. Comment below, kindness is never wasted, if you believe small acts of care can change lives.